Hello, MouseHunt. Welcome to Feedback Friday. It is March 8, 2019, and MouseHunt is officially 11 years old. This is making it the first Feedback Friday of the 11th year of MouseHunt. Hello, everybody in the chat hanging out. How you doing today? Some talk about daylight savings time coming up, and yes, indeed, this weekend, at least here in Canada, we change the clock soon. So Feedback Friday will change by an hour. The clocks go forward, so it will be, depending where you are, it might be at a slightly different time, and the always lovely confusion of time zones will become slightly more confusing for a little bit. Happy birthday, yeah, indeed, happy birthday, MouseHunt. Morning, Dave. Good morning, Tarako. Brian, Julia, Stejan. Lady Nutsy, hello. Good morning to you as well. We lose an hour of sleep with the time change, says Tiger there in the chat. Yep, that's always the downside of the clocks going forward. Hello, hello. Doing good, says Kutufutu. Glad to hear it. Hello, happy birthday, says Lisa. Good morning. Good midnight, Daniel. You must be on the other side of the planet. Well, good midnight to you. Hello, happy birthday, Dave. It's not my birthday, it's the game's birthday. I am more than 11 years old, I think anyway. Might have to add a few years on top of that, but maybe my maturity level, I don't know, hard to say. I'll leave that up to other people. It just means summer is coming. Yes, I agree. That's always kind of exciting when you change the clocks and you know that winter is coming to a close. I think today might be, hopefully, one of the last freezing cold days we have here in Toronto before spring slowly crawls towards us. Well, today I want to get a little bit of feedback, some initial impressions about the birthday event. Then we can discuss the spring egg hunt a little bit as well. So the 11th birthday event has officially been going on for a few days now. I want to know, what have you enjoyed about the event thus far? Maybe what have you not enjoyed so much about the event? In general, just a super brief factory, the theme in the event, is it something you'd like to see return next year? And if so, what would you like to see tweaked or changed, or various suggestions and feedback? Stejan says that the rewards are not all that pleasant, although you're using harsher words than unpleasant. Yeah, that's a fair point in the terms of supply and demand of where unstable charms are. It's just kind of a minor cash out for your extra parts after you finish the event. Once we wrap up the event, I think you will be able to smash excess parts into party charms, and then the parts will dissolve away into nothing. So we'll include that in the closure news post. Julia's excited about eggs. Peter says, pretty great, love the event. Roxine says, been spring here for too long. You must be as well on the other side of the planet. I'm envious of your spring, or maybe not on the direct opposite side, but in a different geographic location. We have a lot of snow and ice here. Daniel says, love the graphic. Yeah, I like the pipe as well on the HUD. It's really fun to watch it pump through there, and then when you finally hit the claim button, seeing it all go, it's very whimsical. I believe Jacob painted that. Like the design, the rooms help accomplish goals. Glad to hear it. That's something we were striving for as well. Certainly common feedback we've had, either hunters working on King's Crowns or you're working on a treasure map. Just a little bit of autonomy when there's that many event mice now to help split them up into groups and let you target certain mice to help add a little bit more strategy to maps. You can divide and conquer amongst your team and spread out throughout the factory. Tarako liking it. No stress. Can get everything done. Yeah, it's pretty chill event. Just kind of some loot collecting, armament, some very minor resource management, but nothing overwhelming, I don't think. I'd agree. The drop rate for parts is bad. I think it's pretty good. Give it a little bit of time. Maybe we're on a bit of an unlucky streak. But I believe it's over 0.5, so every 2 hunts you should get more than 1 part. Chong's asking if I can buy a premium shop item without the lucky golden shield. You may have to elaborate on exactly why you want to do that, but at the moment, most items it's included. There are certain kits you don't get it till you open it. The gilded scroll cases, they don't come with the golden shield, but when you complete the map within and open up the chest reward that it leads to, that's what gives you the golden shield. Idea is good, but the rewards could be better. Yeah, open to suggestions on what different rewards could be. We've definitely been trying to maybe overhaul the events a little bit to not be quite so just drowning in loot. And it was sort of diminishing the rest of the game in some ways, where it was taking away a lot of the challenge or accomplishments in other areas of the game to have every single event just be an absolute loot pinata. So with that in mind, we were trying to find some good themes that we could apply to each event. Halloween being about cursed gold, a good time to get a little bit extra gold than you would otherwise, as well as a small trickle of loot. The Great Winter Hunt with the golems, that's a great fit for that, being a big, exciting event where you can get different types of area loot. The Lunar New Year about being leveraging your existing resources by getting double and triple loot drops, but it's not kind of a free drop of loot. You still need those resources to be prepared. And the birthday, we're wondering if we could make that about just a few cool limited edition traps to collect, or for lower ranked players as well, something to help them out, as well as an opportunity to get a little bit of Super Brie as well for free. As you upgrade the factory every 50 runs, you can pump out a pretty good little crate of Super Brie, as well as the Anniversary Aura adds a chance of mice dropping Super Brie, and you can extend that beyond the event if you're doing maps. So that's what we're aiming for, maybe make the birthday celebration a little bit about Super Brie and some LE traps, but kind of toning down the loot a little bit. Stretch rewards aren't that impressive either. We'll open a suggestion what else you'd like to see. There's certainly the Bait Keep and Ultimate Charms. We're trying to find something that would hopefully appeal to higher level players or more active players looking for a stretch goal. That said though, those are some very powerful charms that outside of an event, if you go to craft those yourself, you would certainly spend a lot lengthier of a time than it takes to collect 5 tickets. Suzanne likes how the event tournaments are set up. Good to hear it. The Golem rewards spoiled us. Yeah, you know, that might be a fair comparison. And if everything's always amazingly good, then nothing's amazingly good. Or if everything's special, then nothing is special, is sort of something we kick around often when looking at balance and different kind of game aspects. You can't create something that's exciting unless there's also periods of things that are not exciting, or they're exciting in different ways, and that makes each thing special in its own way. The break room closes the gap a bit between donate and non-donate, which is good, was a comment from the chat. Yeah, it's a good strategy as well. If you do the break room first, kind of work in little small batches of Coggy Colby and try to get your break room up to level 2 or 3, that'll increase the drop rate of Colby, and then that kind of snowballs. That'll get you a good start if you start with that room. Why is the boss named Vincent? We'll leave that as a mystery, I suppose. The art is amazing though, and the design might be the best I've seen so far. It feels a bit weird that using SB and factory charms doesn't count as hunts. Well, you got to use the Coggy Colby to turn those gears to keep the cheese pumping. Luke could give more rewards like past year's Halloween candy or ice coins. Yeah, we've had mixed feedback in terms of using event currencies. Kind of a behavior that we saw develop was people would not ever spend them at all. It'd be more almost like a competition to see how many you could hoard. And so we kind of did away with the event currencies and tried to, when we are going to have a loot-based event, have it more where you immediately get it. So you get to see that, and that seemed a little bit more engaging and exciting to actually see the items show up rather than just keep throwing more coins for fear like, well, I only have so many, I'm afraid to spend them. I think the term is too good, can't use, and it creates this weird anxiety. Letting factory charm hunts count as hunts would improve a lot, in my opinion. That's an interesting suggestion. That's something maybe to keep in mind for next year. Anytime you're using something kind of cog-based, and then that way while you're farming more Coggy Colby, that's a mouthful, you could be pumping out the Super Brie cheese as well. I was hoping the powers would be higher for the birthday traps. That's a problem facing events in general, is that we're at a point now where there's traps that take quite a while to earn. And so it's just this threshold of during a 3-week event, there's only so good the traps can be before they would completely diminish the effort and accomplishment that goes into earning traps elsewhere. So if something were to, you could spend months trying to build the temporal turbine, and so if a 3-week event comes by and just kind of says, see you later, temporal turbine, it's just a little bit out of balance. So I don't think, outside of kind of some special occasions or one-offs, definitely last year being the 10th anniversary, there were some very special traps that we did to kind of commemorate that. But if that became the status quo, again, I think it would diminish the rest of the game, and the game would be all about just, well, events. That's the only time that anything ever really matters, which I think is a little bit backwards, rather than the events being a nice little bonus here and there. Is any of the birthday skin LE? Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. I'd have to look it up, I think. We just had golem traps. Not everything can always be out of the world. Yeah, that's a fair point there from Tiger, right? If so many events back to back, it would just get out of hand so fast. If like, well, this event gives you a trap, and then the next one is better, the next one is better, the next one is better. Before you know it, it's just absolutely out of control. So the trap rewards outside of sometimes if we see a good idea to have a special effect on a trap or some niche use for a trap, you can kind of expect going forward that events won't always bring sort of best in class traps, and that's just kind of good for the longevity of the game and not diminishing the other content out there that you have to tackle that you have more than 3 weeks to do. Julia says, love the birthday aura. That's a good long-term reward. Indeed, that's a good stretch goal as well. Every time you pump the Super Breed, you get a few more, or you get another day or two of the aura, and maps as well is a good way to kind of get that stacking up. Yeah, it's a little awkward that unstable charms are actually cheaper on the marketplace, and yeah, I guess that's too many, or people purchased too many from Ronza last time she visited. They're 4,500 from Ronza, and I think maybe people overstocked, but the kind of a lot of the prices of resources and charms are balanced, not necessarily around the marketplace, but around their utility, and that'll kind of add a bit of a minimum cost before you can have like an unlimited version of them, basically, because the marketplace is limited by its current supply, so it's a bit of a supply and demand thing more than it is the stats or the value they have. Would be nice in the shop if there was a section to trade in previous year's premium items at 3-to-1. What we do there is most items you can use them in either a diminished capacity or you can use the previous event cheeses. So the Cupcake Colby, if you arm that, it's slightly better than Super Brie. At least I think the Extra Sweet Colby, or it's very, very close. So it's a way you can hunt and you can upgrade it. So it still has sort of a factor of trading it in for the other one, but there's a little bit of time involved as well. See the stars inside the cloak of Vincent? Yeah. Stejan asks, is a Rift Trap supposed to have no Rift Set bonus? I believe that's an error. We're going to patch that up. We'll put that out in a hotfix. Temporal Turbine bought off the marketplace, took 10 seconds, but I'm sure the gold in which you used to purchase it did not take 10 seconds to earn. Didn't the Christmas Crystalabra trap technically skip 3 Rift traps? Yeah, but it didn't dethrone sort of best-in-class Rift, so everything kind of finds a spot to fit in, but certainly I don't think we can set a precedent where every event trap gets better than the last one, or it'll just get out of control, right? I mean, it's not difficult to imagine eventually the traps would be absolutely obscene, and then we'd have to make the mice stronger to balance that out, and then if you weren't there for an event, all of a sudden the game is... you don't have the tools to progress in the game until events come around. I think would be a kind of less fun design for the game. Jade basis in a nutshell, yeah. Rift bonuses for Rift Trap. There are quite a few comments there, so if you didn't hear me, for sure we're going to hot fix that. I think that was an oversight. It's lacking the Rift Walker or Rift Stalker set bonus. Why does the Meteor Core Prison have 2 birthday skins? Well, actually, we recently built a new tool so we could measure which traps are the most popular. And so we're still collecting a little bit of data, and it'll take a while to get a good data set built. And certainly, let me see yesterday. I'll just look at yesterday. Ooh, not today. But that's going to help influence sort of what traps we add more skins for. We're seeing which ones people are using the most and keeping armed the most. So yesterday, obviously the event has a big role in this. The School of Sharks was hands down the most popular trap to be using. 23% of players took at least 1 hunt with the School of Sharks. And on average, people who had the School of Sharks armed, they took almost 70 hunts yesterday. That's impressive. The Golem Guardian is number 2, so that's a very popular trap. And I think that's other good evidence where we don't necessarily want to take away from the popularity of that trap by so close immediately having something that's maybe better than the Golem Guardian. But 15% of players, or nearly 15% of players, took a hunt with the Golem Guardian. The Chrome Monsterbot was in 3rd. Sandtail Sentinel, Sandstorm Monsterbot, Chrome Sphinx Wrath, the Rune Shark. People are going for the high power, high luck traps, I think. But that's going to help us tremendously in figuring out what traps do they have skins for, but that's what led to the Meteor Core Prison being skinned, is that we're looking up that it was popular at the time. Karen loved this event. Feels like a festive celebration for all of us. Glad to hear that's what we're going for as well, to kind of a nice celebration in the world of Narnia. Revealing the Super Brie factory to kind of feel festive as well, and you can earn a little bit of Super Brie as well. Says, are old event cheeses better than Super Brie when using the area? I think it depends on the cheese. So again, off the top of my head, I'm not 100% sure. I think maybe extra sweet might be either slightly better or on par, and the rest they might have a chance to fail a track, whereas Super Brie doesn't. But other than that, they should get the same drop rates or very close to it as Colby. Dark theme for MouseHunt browser. That would be nice. Unfortunately, without a rewrite of the game, I don't think it would be overly technically feasible to pull that off in a seamless way that we could maintain going forward. So I don't think that would come up at any time. Stejan's asking, how did you guys break Brie in the Tribal Isles with a Marketplace update? A lot of other little changes shipped with the Marketplace as well, actually, so that kind of contributed to a little bit, chaos is a strong word, I guess, but there was a lot on our plates right then and there, so that's why we followed up with a Patch Notes news post as well. You may have seen lots of other little tiny changes or little quality of life improvements like the tower. So we refactored how the Empowered Super Brie and Empowered Brie worked and that kind of had a bit of a side effect as well. But that'll make it easier for us to use Empowered Brie and Empowered Super Brie. It was always a bit of a pain to implement those cheeses. Can I use Rewind Raclette to farm Coggy? I don't want to speak completely out of turn here. I believe so. My understanding is that cheese should work. Let me just load up something real quick here. Yeah, if I'm not 100% sure, I don't like to say it with certainty, but that should be the intention. Cheese. Rewind raclette. I've never had raclette. It looks good when you look at it in videos, though. Where are we here? Yep, so during the birthday event, it has a 90% attraction rate, so that should be better than Gouda. So you can use it to farm Coggy Colby. Ben says the event is great. Break room is a great idea. Maybe next year let the mixing room upgrade more. That might be a good suggestion as well. Yeah, maybe that's something that we can incorporate into other events as well, a way to upgrade your ability to farm event cheese. Swift says, I mean, it's weird that it has 2 different birthday skins 2 years in a row. Well, I think skins are a good sort of cosmetic reward where you can't necessarily have too many of them. So I think a little variety is nice. Somebody might not like one particular theme of skin, but still want to arm a birthday skin. Like I have my, what's it called, the Candle Chrome Monsterbot skin armed, and I find that comical. Whereas maybe somebody doesn't really like the look of that, so they might want another birthday skin for that trap. But like I said, we're trying to find popular traps, so to add birthday skins for, to make sure they're traps that people are actually interested in arming the skin for. Should party charms be given a 20% power bonus? That's an interesting suggestion when you pair it with a birthday trap. That's an interesting suggestion as well. What else was I was going to write something else down? Oh yeah. Break room. Just want to write down the break room too. That's a good suggestion to maybe try to incorporate that in other events. Julia says, thank you for the Zugzwang's tower upgrade. Yeah, it's a nice little quality of life, certainly. It just makes things a little less stressful. I think it just removes something that's needlessly frustrating. So for those of you not familiar now, Zugzwang's tower's changed a little bit, so you can charge up your amplifier, and when you enter the tower, as soon as you make some progress, so as soon as you capture one of the chest-themed mice, the Seasonal Garden will lock. And the only way to go back to the Seasonal Garden to recharge your amplifier is to either click the retreat button on the HUD or capture a king without checkmate cheese or the chess master. But But otherwise, you can just leave Zugzwang's Tower now and you don't lose your amplifier. The restriction now is you're just not allowed to recharge your amplifier until you finish your run or you choose to retreat. So that helps greatly if you just enter the tower and an event starts, or it makes maps just a little less tedious in terms of finding mice in Zugzwang's Tower. Do reality restitch charms have any use this year? I don't believe they do. I'll double check after that, and if not, we can fix the tag to make them not show up so high in the list. I'm surprised you haven't had every cheese ever, says Roxanne. Yeah, you would think we would sample cheese for research purposes, but that might not be the healthiest diet if we were to sample cheese that often. Stejan says, could we get some kind of cheese tier list with future events so we know which cheese works and how they stack up? Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Be interesting to try to find a way to work that into the interface somewhere. I'll have to kind of brainstorm that a bit. Will there be a short St. Patrick's special event during upcoming St. Patrick's Day? We usually like to do a quick little, some sort of little luck event. That said, we haven't had anything planned with any sort of certainty, so I won't say for sure. Imagine if party charms could turn into super extremes and ultimates. That's an interesting suggestion as well. I see what hunters think about that whole system. I know there's a couple that work that way now with the snowball charms. As you use them, there's a chance that when it's consumed, it gives you one of the better versions of the charm as well, and you can work your way up there. They're tradable in the marketplace as well, so you can kind of run a little bit of a business where you're upgrading snowballs to sell them to other people who want the better ones. Or you can just hoard them up and save them for some sort of boss run or sometime when you really want some extra stats on your trap. Maybe introduce a mid-range shadow trap just below 3,800, says Raul there. Reaper's Perch is quite mid-range though. Yeah, a long time. That was my favorite trap for quite a while. I was kind of sad when it's no longer my go-to shadow trap. I like the artwork on that one. Is it intentional that the birthday aura from Gilded Maps is only half the lucky golem shield you get? It's annoying when you want to do multiples. Yeah, that's fair. And the fact that when you open up a chest, you get a month of shield, but only 2 weeks of aura is a little bit of a weird disconnect. We can see what we can do about that. I don't know if we could make like mini chests or something like that. Maybe try to rethink how that works a bit. Previous Gilded Time Traveler had 1 month anniversary aura. That was also a more expensive scroll case as well. So there were regular birthday scrolls that only gave 2 weeks, and they were the same price point as these Gilded scrolls. So that's kind of where how that came to be. Maybe that's how it wasn't as noticed last year. It wasn't as prevalent because there were more people doing the Time Travelers as opposed to the easier birthday ones. What happens if we open a chest next year after the aura effect time limit passes? I'd have to double check, but I think you should be okay as long as we review this every, that's on the checklist to review every year with the birthday event too. The maximum duration kind of gets extended again a little bit. Sean says the tax in the marketplace or tariff is a bit of a headache. We do have a marked on our to-do list. We've had similar feedback to try to make the tariff a little bit more transparent, or at least let you see what you're listing at before and after tariff to help you kind of line up your offers if you're looking to make sure that you have the cheapest of something for sale on the marketplace. Make that easier. So that is on our to-do list. I think we need a zombie invasion and a king's giveaway. Yeah, it has been a while since we've done either of those events. Never enough rainbow maps, more. Yeah, and the update to be on multiple maps at the same time kind of helped with that. Rainbow's always felt a little bit awkward being so massive. Whereas now you can still do event maps without fear of this huge long map getting in the way. All right, so I wrote down some good suggestions, feedback. We'll be looking to kind of correlate that. Didn't get a good consensus, and maybe we'll get that from the summary of if this is something you'd like to see repeated each year, maybe with a few tweaks here and there, but just the theme of the birthday event being a time which you can get a little bit of Super Brie as well as a few limited edition traps. Maybe kind of think through some other stretch goals, the anniversary aura, but just kind of having that little bit of a Super Brie theme to the birthday event. Kind of wondering if that's something you'd like to see us repeat. We'll go on to the spring egg hunt, and that is just around the corner here. We're about a month away, just about. It's planned to start on Tuesday, April 9. So we're looking for suggestions for new eggs, as well as just feedback in general about the spring egg hunt. It's certainly one of the more long-standing events in the game. It is probably the event which has been repeated the most, or has become definitely ingrained in the sort of routine of how events go. But some interesting discussions recently came up about the egg hunt, and we kind of wanted to pick players' brains a little bit. I mean, it's not a zombie invasion event, that's a bad joke. But yeah, we want to get kind of some thoughts, some initial impressions, and just kind of a little bit of brainstorming. So that's a good to sort of preface this with, is that none of this are decisions or announcements of changes happening in the spring egg hunt, but just want to explore some conversations that recently came up about the spring egg hunt. So there's a little bit of an issue with the egg hunt that has put us in a little bit of a dilemma. It seems that the event is somewhat polarizing when it comes to popularity, and whether players either really enjoy it or they're very not hateful to it, but they're completely uninterested in it at all. So for the past several years, we've seen at the start of the egg hunt a noticeable decline in the number of hunters playing, as well as how much hunting each hunter does. And so that's quite dramatically different from what we see from other events, where normally an event will sort of it'll peak a little bit, like some players come back and they get interested in the game, and then yeah, it tapers off again a little bit. And then during the event as well, we see players do a lot more hunting each day. Actually, if I just kind of check right now for the last 7 days, although the event hasn't been live for 7 days, maybe I'll go to just look at yesterday. Yeah, right now, or yesterday on average, people did about 53 hunts per day, and the average is usually closer to 40-45. Whereas when the spring egg hunt starts, there's this correlation where instead of getting a little bump in players and it goes down, it just goes immediately down. And the hunts per day people are doing as well goes down. And that's usually how we measure how engaging or fun something is how many people are participating in it, and how many times per day are they sounding their horn is usually a good indication that you're having fun. And Swift in the chat says, who doesn't like the spring egg hunt? I think that's the thing, is that it's a little bit polarizing, right? The people who enjoy it, they really enjoy it. And you can't imagine, wait, who wouldn't like this thing? But then there's people on the other side of the coin as well. So obviously that pattern of when the spring egg hunt starts, we see some players dip off and people playing the game less often. It's obviously concerning for the longevity of the game, where year after year we have this event where we know we kind of lose some players and they don't come back, and it seems to always correlate with the spring egg hunt. And so we wanted to try to understand the causation behind that correlation. And so we're wondering if anyone in the chat doesn't find it particularly fun or engaging, or if maybe you have anecdotes about friends that find themselves losing interest in the game around the time that the spring egg hunt thoughts, or just general thoughts, stories, and feedback about the egg hunt in general. Suzanne says people look forward to spring egg hunt like the diversity of the eggs. For sure, I think there's just separate camps there. There's definitely a lot of people look forward to the spring egg hunt. But then when we look at what happens to the player base when the event starts, we see kind of the opposite occurring. And no doubt the people that stick around like it, obviously they're sticking around, but it seems to be something that just doesn't quite grab people, or they just don't find it quite entertaining. Matthew says, my interest waned when the event location went away. Yeah, that's an interesting point as well. Now that stockpile based, it's not quite the same type of event that brings everyone all together in one spot. That might be that might be part of it. We've even had similar sentiments around the office of it's neat when we're all hunting in the same spot, especially some of the newer people here, if they're lower level and they can't hunt in the same locations as some of the other people who have been working here longer, it's always fun to do treasure maps together and stuff during events. Stejan says it doesn't have something new like other events do. Yeah, I think that's a good point as well. The rewards, there isn't that trap of like, oh, I want to go get that trap, check mark. I got it either for collection's sake, or I think it's a cool trap, or it's just a goal to achieve. And usually something's more fun when you have a specific goal in mind. Whereas the egg hunt's very open-ended. It's left up to you. What are your goals? Do you want to try to collect all the eggs? Although that's certainly probably the most challenging thing you could do. Do you want to try to maximize your loot in a spot where the eggs have particularly good loot? Do you want to complete a collection of just this area? Or where do you want to focus your efforts? It encourages you to set your own goal, which maybe that is something if somebody doesn't think of their own goal, then it's not very engaging. Sean says, I think only active players enjoy the spring egg hunt. That could explain maybe the polarizing effect where the group of more active players, it's something that is very fun for them, but the sort of less active players, because they're not the type to set their own goals like that, that might explain kind of the two different camps. Prowling Tiger says 2013-14 was the last spring egg hunt I really enjoyed, but I know every event can't be record-breaking. As if said, maybe the amount of eggs is overwhelming for new players. Yeah, certainly that's two. We want to discuss. A couple other discussions came out around the goal of trying to collect all the eggs, and we'll get to that in a minute as well, but I think that could be playing a role. Maybe there's an event location where you could grind loot as opposed to wandering the kingdom looking for eggs. Yeah, that might all tie into the theme of having to set your own goal and not bringing everyone together in one spot. Karen says, interesting, I'm surprised and ready to try something new if you want. I sure do love those eggs. Well, it would be quite the dilemma, because I don't think we could just remove the eggs. I suppose they could all become limited edition, and then that was that. But yeah, I don't know if that's the best solution. So it presents that dilemma of there's this huge collection sort of gameplay that's embedded in the spring egg hunt that's very difficult to iterate on or do something different the following year, because there's all this historical content that is begging to remain supported. Event location better than stockpiles. Would you like to see an event location where you go to collect Colby? Maybe there's a little bit of gameplay that you can earn some extra charms or do something of that nature to then help your egg finding capabilities. We had mixed feedback on that when you had to go to the factory. Excuse me, had to go to the factory to recharge your excavator for the hunt. Most people just saw the actual hunting down the eggs as the fun part, and it felt tedious to have to do that step. Chat's moving fast on me now. In my opinion, people who dislike it are the ones who want to have everything but don't want to commit the effort. Yes, certainly there's a lot of above and beyond goals for sure, so that might not appeal to everybody and might make it polarizing. Suzanne, our team does what it can to teach newbies discover features games event. Falling away maybe due to less connectedness to the MH community. It is kind of the end of the spring account, and certainly video games in general. I think a lot of video game communities see similar trends where during summer things dip a little bit because the weather's nice. Now that said, on the other side of the planet, you would think that you'd see a little uptick in some of the winter players, but maybe just in terms of demographics and population density, us in North America and Europe, when the winter finally releases its icy grip of us here in the northern hemisphere here, we finally want to maybe go outside and play fewer video games and enjoy the weather. Matthew says, I don't dislike the egg hunt. Please don't misunderstand. For me, my enjoyment of an event is a location and catching mice and getting seasonal traps. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it would be perfectly reasonable to think many other players feel the same way. Like we said, it's a bit polarizing, right? There's these two different camps of it's not everyone's cup of tea, but that might be doing harm to the game long term if there's this portion of players who tend to lose interest due to the spring egg hunt, but we want to see if it's causation or correlation. We still have to kind of figure that out. On that note, a couple other little things that we just wanted to maybe run past hunters, pick your brain. Again, I want to stress that these aren't announcements of things we're doing for this spring egg hunt at all. So please don't take this as gospel, or what am I thinking of, as some sort of decree or announcement. But we're toying around with maybe the spring egg hunt could be something, the egg collection could just be a permanent addition to the game, or it could be something you could do all spring long, basically kind of downplaying it as an event and more about just the eggs are a feature in the game. Something where you could find the eggs, even if it's not the spring egg hunt, if you've never collected that egg before. So let's say you're trying to find the dawn egg in Fort Rocks. If you've never collected that egg, it's not checked off in your excavator interface. When you go to Fort Rocks as normal, you would find the dawn egg, and like, oh, cool, you made progress on your egg collection. But then during the spring egg hunt, you could get duplicates, so you could continue to loot eggs even if you've looted them before, and be more about cracking open the eggs for the loot inside than necessarily working on your collections. Now, obviously, though, that's a pretty significant change. It'd be a little bit scary. It would take away something from the special time-limited nature of completing your collection. It's a little extra special when you know, oh, I did this really hard thing, and that would make it obviously not as hard to do anymore. Creating an egg hunt that lasts all year long could make the game more interesting. Doesn't make Eggmaster look that extremely difficult. Yeah, it allows for way harder eggs. That's another good point as well. It would allow us to add much more. It would be much less restricted in the types of eggs we could come up with. Some could be much more niche. You know, you have to be here with this trap or something like that, or you have to capture this mouse 3 times in a row for it to drop its egg, or more sort of niche and special egg conditions. Whereas we always hold back on that because we know there's only so long you have to collect the eggs, so we keep them kind of, for the most part, simple. There's just a few really hard to get ones. Downplaying is fine. Peter says, ooh, I like that idea, but don't make it permanent. Yeah, maybe that middle ground there, instead of something being all year long, maybe literally it's the spring egg hunt. So during the whole season of spring, at least in the world of Narnia, obviously different areas of the world have spring at different points in the calendar. But during the Narnia spring season, it would just be a time when, hey, cool, for months there's bonus drops on these mice. Enjoy, go out, do it. But that would still be new content would be coming out just alongside it. It might overlap with other little events and things like that, or mini events. But it'd just be kind of this little thing in the background more than completely at the forefront with a special HUD and stressing that the egg hunt is going on. Charge eggs for SB. Yeah, that's certainly a popular feature as well. People like charging the excavator to cycle it. Because I like the previous spring egg hunt carton, people could work together. We had mixed feedback on the cartons. Actually, the cartons won't be making a return this year. You'll probably be able to cash them out for a little bit of Super Brie, something in line with the value that they had when they were sold. But yeah, the cartons, we didn't see a whole lot of people grasping onto them, so they won't be making a return this year. Chip says, I like this idea, longer time to get eggs because some of them take longer to run for. Brian suggests a library assignment egg as well. Would lower the exclusivity of the eggs. Yeah, that is definitely the caveat that idea would bring with it. If the spring egg hunt went all spring, that would push back new releases. It'd have quite the opposite effect because it would be a switch we could just turn on instantly. So I think that would actually streamline things quite a bit. Printing gauges?
No, I just need some spare paper.
We got lots. Look at all those stacks of paper. Office supplies for days.
Office supplies!
For years even. I wonder how long we will have that much paper.
What is this? Hold on, let me showcase. Here, Dave, here's your shipment, Dave.
Oh, thanks.
Here you go, Dave.
Oh, I got my paperwork to do. Oh,
Dave, we got another batch.
Oh.
Here you go, Dave.
Oh, is this the gym? Oh, I can't do reps for that. That's too much. It's too much. I need a spotter for that many.
Hello. How's everyone doing?
Tiger says, I think older players might be getting bored with eggs as the level 1 they're at in-game. New ones might respark the interest. Yeah, that could be a factor as well. If you've done it several years in a row, then it's sort of lost some of its shiny newness, and you're looking for something a little different.
As you get older, you kind of like get bored of eggs. You want to have something different for breakfast.
Yeah.
Maybe a brioche or some eggs Benny.
Foie gras.
For breakfast?
Foie gras.
That's a little rich.
No, isn't there a breakfast served with foie gras?
liver?
Maybe it's like inside like a quail egg, like super fancy. No?
Let's go. Let's go right now.
I don't know where you go.
There's this French cuisine place they called Biff's.
Yeah, they probably have foie gras.
Foie gras. Well, I'll take these off your hands, sir.
Thank you, sir. Ben says, if there's an egg for every mouse, eventually won't we just be playing egg hunt? That's the thing as well. I would, looking for ways that we could add more niche and interesting eggs. Like literally, when you think of in games the term Easter egg, it's a little hidden. You got to go your way to find it. Whereas just having them themed after mice constantly kind of makes it so you don't even really need to think, hey, where's this one come from? Well, that mouse drops it. So on a related note, kind of a similar discussion or suggestion that came up, and again, not an announcement of what we're doing, but just interested to hear players' perceptions of it, was having some way during the event to earn a limited number of some sort of charge pack item, forgive the air quotes there, and then that would go into your inventory, and you can only get so many of them per egg hunt, but then you could activate it, and that would, outside the egg hunt, it'd allow you to power your excavator and find eggs. Maybe it lasts for a week or something like that. So it'd be similar in functionality of how an aura works. So now your excavator has power outside the egg hunt. But again, you can then choose, okay, I'll get a few of these charges and I'll save them for some of the eggs that are a little harder to prepare for. When I'm ready for those eggs, maybe you're lower level and you can save them during the year when you level up and you unlock a new area. Like, okay, cool, I'll activate this and I'm gonna find some of the eggs in this area. But then it goes away, and then the perception-wise too, it feels like at least the egg collection is still something special tied to the egg hunt, but without being as time sensitive or restricted. Jonathan says, don't change anything when I get Eggmaster status. I want it to be the same as players who got it before me. That's certainly as well. That's the sort of caveat to it, is it would diminish the accomplishment a little bit. Suzanne says Dave loves paperwork. Not often we have to print things, so I was surprised to see Brian order that much paper, because I think that we're good now. I think he was just tired of running out when he bought one small pack at a time, but it's not a lot of printing goes on here. I guess we do. I think Giorgio swiped it to do sketches and stuff like that. It's just easier with a pencil and paper to sketch out interfaces and quickly brainstorm that. Swift says, like the spring egg hunt would run for the same time, where you can collect as many as possible, but a longer cooldown period to just collect one if you have it. Oh, that's an interesting approach as well. So kind of taking that idea of, hey, you're allowed to find eggs if you have never collected it before, so you can work on your collection, but you can't get duplicates. And just have that a longer cooldown. So the spring egg hunt comes, you can do the charge cycle, all that stuff is there, you can earn some egg doubling charms and all that. But then that can be a little bit shorter, and then there's cooldown period of your excavator still has some residual charge, and you can use it for a few weeks after. That's another interesting approach as well. Make him cut his hair. He trimmed his beard not too long ago, but yeah, I think when the winter's done is usually when he has his trim. And especially when I think it's -10 out right now. Oh, -4, it's warming up, it's balmy here. Fulmina Egg have a chance for Fulmina Tooth, but Minnow Egg doesn't have RSPG. I think it might. Let me see here. Could be wrong. Could be mistaken. Items. I need a new. Franco built a egg tool, but it's not. I don't have it yet. So what is it called? The Minotaur Egg. Oh, it looks weird to me. I don't know why. I think it's the little gold rivets. They just look like, I don't know, like little posthumous modules or something. Yeah, you're right. No RSPG. Yeah, you know me. Hopefully Casada Egg gives Ember Charms. I don't think we're planning on Casada Egg, but we're planning something a little bit more creative. Eggs you can find in the region, but aren't necessarily like mouse, 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 mouse. So that way there's a few different ways to strategize and see, well, how do you want to try to get that egg, rather than it being kind of cookie cutter, everyone does it the exact same way. Problem with egg hunt on batteries, a lot of eggs have really low attraction rate as well. Yeah, certainly there's a wide variety there. But then it would be up to you to choose, okay, do I want to try this during the event? Do I want to use my after event charges? So there'll still be some choice there. Eileen, I don't even own a printer. It's pretty niche, you need one. Brian asks, is queso guys are coming after or during the spring egg hunt? It's coming along nicely. If all goes according to plan, I think it will be released during the spring egg hunt. But obviously, you know, a grain of salt there that we might have delays or unforeseen consequences. And we, excuse me, if we go ahead with that. There would be new eggs to find in the area as well, so we'll be adding. Right now I think we're planning 5 eggs for the Queso Geyser area if it comes out during the spring egg hunt. Eggs will help progress in the new area upon release. Yeah, just a little bit, little bonus loot to kind of celebrate the launch of it. It might be kind of neat. I hope they don't add the geyser before the spring egg hunt. Definitely no way we would add it before the spring egg hunt. There's a possibility it may come out before the end of the hunt. That's something else we've been considering as well, trying to pair, going back in case you weren't here when we discussed it at the start, the spring egg hunt kind of has this unfortunate correlation of players tend to kind of start quitting the game about there. They don't stick around, whereas other events we see a little bump in the player count that kind of goes back down, but the egg hunt just not really a bump, it just goes down, which is concerning for the longevity of the game. But something else we are considering of this might be a good test run to see if adding new content to the game at the same time as the spring egg hunt might allow people the choice. Okay, if you like the spring egg hunt, because we suspect it's kind of polarizing. There's a group of players who like it and a group of players who really don't care for it. You could choose, okay, cool, I can do the spring egg hunt and then I can go on to the new content. And then the other players, they could check out the spring egg hunt for a little bit, but then there's some new content to check out as well. So that might be a way to kind of have something in April that appeals to everybody. Julia says, do we need more RSPG? Well, it's been a common suggestion as well to find new uses for old items, especially some of the big ticket items, and that's things we've been brainstorming on. So maybe one day in the future you'll need more RSPG, but at the moment, if you have the base, you're pretty well set. Thank goodness no quesada egg. That'd be a lot of extra prep. Have to have a quesada egg. See, that's a good example of the polarizing nature of the egg hunt, right? One person goes like, oh, please, no, that's tedious. I'm not into that. Another person's like, yes, I love it. It sounds so good, it'll be hard to do. I think that kind of, that articulates well that polarizing nature of either there's a group of players who want just a super difficult, challenging thing to do because then it's rewarding when you finally reach the summit of a mountain. Whereas other people are looking for something more casual or something where you can set your own goals, something that's a little bit more obtainable or kind of pushes you forward in a direction that you progress through the game. I think those are players who probably going to play for events. No clue though, says Swift. Yeah, that's a possibility as well. Whew, my voice is running out of steam. It is 47 minutes. Time flies when you're reading chat, apparently. Oh, jumping. I'll wrap things up shortly here. Do have a trivia question today. So I'll wrap up the spring egg hunt. Encourage people to, again, I'll post a summary on the tavern section of the forums. Let us know what you think about the egg hunt, where you'd like to see us take it in the future. Any sort of anecdotal stories you can throw out as well about yourself or friends or other hunters that you know in the egg hunt, their overall impressions of it. And again, just to reiterate, and please help spread my message as well, I want to confirm that none of this were announcements or things we're planning on doing the spring egg hunt, so don't treat this like a behind-the-scenes look of what to expect in April at the egg hunt. We're just having a discussion, picking hunters' brains, so if you see somebody kind of really upset about some of these changes we're making, please point out that, hey, we just want their constructive feedback. These aren't set-in-stone things that we're even considering putting in for this year, just a conversation. So please, I want to stress that. 48, 48, 3, 42, 7, 21. People are guessing. Today's trivia question is not numeric. I try to avoid that as best I can make for a slightly more interesting trivia question. I would like to hunt eggs more if they were displayable on the profile page. That's a double-edged sword too. The more sort of well-presented a goal and collection is, the more sort of ingrained or mandatory it feels. So it's a little tricky. If that's prominently displayed, that might just kind of dial up the frustration factor for that camp of players who don't really care for that content. So that's a tricky egg to chew, as we often say here at Hit Grab, a tough egg to chew. All right, this week's trivia question, and I will just go back to just being Lonely Dave, not surrounded by eggs. Nope, that's not working. So long, eggs. Today's trivia question, actually it's birthday related, so come on, Vincent, come join me for the trivia this week. It is, which birthday mouse is generally the largest in terms of weight when captured. So I think there's a very obvious winner in terms of what is the heaviest mouse you can capture that is in the birthday event. Salt mines is incorrect. Finland is also incorrect. Super Mecha Bot Ultra Supreme is correct, although that's technically spelled incorrectly. Can we get the correct spelling, the correct name? The correct name of the mouse? You're close with Super Mecha Bot Ultra Supreme. Super Fighter Bot, we're getting close. Can anyone nail down the wording? Somebody's opening up a tab, and Brian's got Super, nope, not the Super Fighter Bot Mega Supreme. No, yes it is. Super Fighter Bot Mega Supreme is correct. That mouse, standing at roughly the size of a skyscraper, can weigh a staggering 2,000 pounds when captured. I'm not even sure how your trap can handle that without being completely crushed and obliterated, but nevertheless, your trap seems to be effective against it. I will put the reward link in chat, and I will put the reward link. I will change the word 11th birthday to be a link. And that's weird looking. What's going on here? And it helps if Vincent would get out of the way. There we go. Vincent will just take a step into the background there. And I'm just going with what Brian said is correct. What Brian said is correct. And a reward link in the chat. I'm not attempting to type out Super Fighter Megabot Ultra Supreme. Might as well type out Arcane Capturing Rod of Never Yielding Mystery. It's just way too long. Message retracted. Brian, thank you for typing out the link. I beat you to it, though. Beat you to it this time. All right, on that note, at the 51-minute mark, a lengthy Feedback Friday indeed. But I guess to be expected with a somewhat open-ended conversation. So thanks for joining me, Hunters. Thanks for giving me all your impressions, your feedback, your suggestions. That's going to kind of help guide some of our brainstorming and discussions. By all means, too, we'll make sure to skim through the Feedback Friday review as well and check out people there. So by all means, in the tavern section of the forums, make sure to give that a visit. Or you can post your impressions as well. And my voice is slowly giving out on me after an hour of speaking. So I will say happy hunting, goodbye, and thanks for joining me, Hunters.